Hi, and welcome to the Public Domain Movie Club. I'm Austin, and today I'm joined with filmmaker and colorist Javon Manning. Javon, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Have you seen this movie before? Salt of the Earth?
Salt of the Earth? No. What year was it made?
1954.
Oh, yeah, no.
No? You don't watch anything that old?
I have not watched a movie that old before.
Have you seen Godzilla?
Yes.
That was 1954 as well.
What?
Yep.
For real?
The original.
Okay.
There you
Well,
go.
then
Things you
I
never
lied.
knew. You secretly love old movies.
I do. You are right. Well, I've still never seen Salt of the Earth.
Never
What's
seen
it
Salt of the
about?
Earth. A lot of people haven't. So Salt of the Earth, our film today, is actually the only movie to ever have been blacklisted in the U.S. It was made by a group of blacklisted filmmakers. A writer, director, a few of the actors, the producers were all blacklisted. Even the composer, he wasn't actually blacklisted, but he was fired from his job for supposed communist ties, but was not officially blacklisted. It was kind of a weird in the middle zone for him. But yeah, they just kind of said, you're going to accuse us of making this, doing something wrong and making communist movies, which we've never made. We just made the movies you asked us to make. They said, if you're going to do that and blacklist us, then we're going to go make something that you actually won't like. And we're going to go full in on the socialist theme and made a union film with the International Union of Coal, Mine, and Smelter Workers. I don't know if I got that order right. Which was also a blacklisted union from the CIO as having too many communist ties.
What?
So back in the era of McCarthyism, it's a very unique film in that there were 5 professional actors. Everyone else was just local townspeople or people who actually took part in the original strike that this film is based on.
Well, that is cool. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I think it's a real testament to what people can do.
Yeah, 5 actors is crazy.
5 actors, random people. Some of them were, leaders of the strike, but they did in my opinion, an amazing job for what they were just thrown in. Hey, come act. You can tell that they're not professional actors, but they did pretty darn good for their background and where they came from.
That's pretty cool. So that's what you were telling me earlier about, what was it, communism?
Do you like socialism? Do you like communism? Because we're going to talk about it a lot today.
So, like I was going to say before, what is the definition? What's the difference between socialism and communism?
Well, that's a loaded question.
I mean, I would say in layman terms, if that's not too.
It's a really great question. Why don't you Google it?
I will Google it.
My understanding is obviously comes down to just the basics of the name. Communism is the community, everyone chipping in on the community to pull the weight, and everyone has to chip in, everyone gets a portion out. Socialism is obviously similar, but it's like the broader society. A lot of our base government systems, roads, police force, are socialist in nature in that we all pay into the fund and we all get police force. And so socialism is kind of inherent just to a government where you are getting any type of service back. Communism, not so much. And seems to be more easily taken advantage of by dictators.
Well, that is crazy.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know that.
Fun stuff.
Well,
don't take my word for that. I am not an expert on the economic systems of communism or socialism. That's just my very basic, potentially wrong understanding.
well, good to know. I'm definitely gonna still research it. I just never.
You should.
I hear it. I hear the terms a lot.
You should. It's good to know what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, well, now
I don't know what I'm talking about. I know the movie. I don't know the economics behind the movie.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Well, either way, I'm excited to see it.
It's good, yeah. Yeah, so a little more background. It was written by Michael Wilson. He was a blacklisted writer who had, he was actually nominated for 5 Oscars and won 2 of them. He won for A Place of the Sun and The Bridge Over the River Kwai. And his last Oscar nominee was actually awarded way later because he was, at the time, blacklisted and wrote it without getting any credit for it. And that was Lawrence of Arabia, commonly considered one of the greatest films ever made. And so he, I believe it was posthumously, was awarded an Oscar nomination for that film. And a lot of that comes from Paul Jericho, who's the producer, and he had gotten into a battle over communism with Howard Hughes, who at the time was running RKO, and basically just said, I'm going to root out all communism. Him and Louis B. Mayer played a huge role in the McCarthyism and the blacklist in Hollywood at that time. And so he just had this personal fight with Paul Jericho and pushed him out and pushed him out. Paul Jericho was also a writer. And when he got pushed out, he ended up saying, I'm going to just go and produce this film. So he was a writer, but he produced this film. And then director Herbert J. Biberman is actually one of the Hollywood 10, which were the initial group of actors, writers, directors who were all actually sentenced and did time in jail for being communists. Most of them, it was never proven they were communists. They just refused to testify, pleading the fifth. Herbert J. Biberman and Paul Jericho were probably actually communists. Paul Jericho for sure. A lot of other people were simply blacklisted or put off because they didn't want to play the game, not because they were actually communists, and it was never proven that they were. But this movie, in this case, they actually were. So it's kind of one of those, well, I did do what you said I did, but I shouldn't be punished for it. So I'm going to go make a movie. One of the other cool stories is Rosaura, I'm going to butcher that, I'm not great at pronouncing things. Rosaura Revueltas is the lead actress, and she is actually a Mexican actress. They had started to cast the director's wife and said, wait, they recognized we're subconsciously thinking that a Mexican or Mexican-American actor couldn't play this role, and that's not true. So we're not going to play that game. And went down and found one of the up-and-coming actresses in Mexico and brought her across. She ended up getting blacklisted in both the U.S. and Mexico for being in a part of this film. So, not so fun for her.
Still blacklisted today?
No.
Okay.
No, blacklist is long gone. Paul Jericho actually, after a while, gave up and moved to France and then came back and taught at UC Santa Barbara, taught film studies, and spent a lot of the remaining time of his life trying to clear up the blacklist and get writers who had written under other names credit and get directors the credit, the people who were, I wrote under the pseudonym just so I could sell the work and make a living. He worked really hard to get them their dues and their credit, and so it was actually something he did after this to really fight that. So, yeah, and that's kind of the background of this film.
Okay.
A very hostile time in Hollywood.
Very hostile time indeed.
Yes.
Oh, man. Well,
yeah, so I say we just go ahead and jump in.
let's do it.
And so they did partner with the union to make this film. It was rumored that the union put up the money. I couldn't find confirmation on that. Versus they just partnered with the union.
Oh, you said they just partnered with the union to make the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Juan Chacon was actually one of the striking miners and one of the union leaders in the original strike that took place that this is based on. So he's kind of playing himself in a sense here.
Okay.
The way they shoot the mine in this film reminds me a lot of the mine they shot in Godzilla, and the shots they used for that.
That has no beginning.
The same.
In these
Use the same
arenas,
mines
my
specifically,
great-grandfather
or
raised
No.
cattle
okay.
before the Anglos ever came. Our roots go deep in this place, deeper in the pines, deeper than the mine shafts. This is my village. When I was a child, it was called San Marcos. The Anglos changed the name to Zinktown. Zinktown, New Mexico, USA. This is our home. The house is not ours, but the flowers. The flowers are ours. My name is Esperanza. Esperanza Quintero. I am a miner's wife. 18 years my husband has given to that mine, living half his life with dynamite and darkness. The land where the mine stands, that was owned by my husband's own grandfather. Now it belongs to the company. Who can say when it began? My story. I do not
Fly
know.
in here.
But this day I remember as the beginning of an end. It was my saint's day. I was 35 years old. A day of celebration. And I was 7 months gone with my third child. And on that day I remember I had a wish. A thought so sinful. A thought so evil. That I prayed to the Virgin to forgive me for it. I wished that my child would never be born. No, not into this world.
Are you sick, Mama?
No, Estelita.
Are you sad? Are we going to church for a confession?
You can tell, obviously, they were hindered in the crew they could get with this film. IATSE refused to let anyone work with them,
With those Anglo kids.
which is the union for stage and crew on a lot of sets, stagehands.
Papa says if an angel makes fun of you, so let him have it.
Never mind what your papa. Hold still.
And you could hear it a lot in this sound. The quality's not always there.
Does it hurt?
Nah. How come the cake?
Never mind the cake. Go get your father when he comes off shift. Tell him to come straight home.
You had a little trouble, Quintero. Defective fuse? Well, you're all in one piece, so what's the beef?
You know the beef. This new rule of yours that we work alone. We're taking it up with the super.
Super's busy with your negotiating committee.
So much the better.
Now, wait a minute. Super's the one made the rule. He ain't gonna give you no help.
He will if he wants us to go on blasting.
Read your contract. Get somebody to read it for you. It don't say nothing about no help.
Listen, Mr. Barton, there's blood in that mine. The blood of my friends, all because they had to work alone. That's how he gets splattered over the rocks, when there's nobody here to check the field.
And nobody to warn the other men to stay clear.
Warning's a shift foreman's job.
Foreman wants to get the ore out. Miner wants to get his brothers out in one piece.
You work alone, savvy? You can't handle a job, I'll find someone who can.
Who, a scab?
An American.
Mama.
Not a word about the cake here.
I see what you mean by the audio.
Get some weird feedback. And
Papa, is there going
Noise
to be
levels.
a strike?
Ramon, I don't like to bother you, but the story they said that we will not make another payment on the radio this month. They'll come and take it away. We are only one payment behind. I argued with her. It isn't right.
It isn't right, you say. Was it right that we bought this instrument? But you had to have it, didn't you? It was so nice to listen to.
I listen to it every night when you're out at the beer parlor.
No money down. Easy term payment. I tell you something. This installment plan, it's a curse of the working man.
you can, of course, see the different political statements they wanted to make throughout this film that they work in. It's really all over the place. Outside of Union, it really the primary theme I think is feminist
Where are
in
you
this
going?
film.
Gotta talk to the brothers.
You said the primary theme you think is feminist.
I would say so. The way as we watch the
Yes, water's
development and how
going
they
again.
treat the women around the camp,
I'm sorry, the fire's gone out.
and
Forget
just
it.
the evolution there seems to
Forget
really
it.
be where they did it, but they tackled so many other themes throughout the film.
I remember that across the tracks, the Anglo miners have hot water in pipes, in bathrooms, inside.
Do you think I like living this way? What do you want of me?
But if your union, if you're asking for better conditions, why can't you ask for decent plumbing too?
We did. Got lost in the shuffle.
What?
We can't get everything at once. Right now we have more important demands.
What's more important than sanitation?
Safety of the men. That's more important. 5 accidents this week. All because of speed up. You're a woman. You don't know what it's like up there. First, we gotta get equality on the job. Then we'll work on these other things. Leave it to the men.
I see. The men. Your strike may be for your demands, but what wives want, that comes later, always later.
Now, don't you start talking against the union again.
Yes, it got me. Your union.
Esperanza, have you forgotten what it was like before the union came? When Estella was a baby and we couldn't even afford a doctor when she was sick? It was for our families we met in graveyards to build that union.
All right, have your strike. I'll have my day. But no hospital will take me because I'll be a strike as well. The store will cut off our credit and the kids will go hungry. We'll get behind on the payments again. Then they'll come and take away the radio.
Is that all you care about? That radio? Can't you think of anything except yourself?
If I think of myself, it's because you never think of me. Never, never.
Stop it. The children are watching. Stop it.
Of course, this film feels very timely when you consider that a lot of Hollywood's on strike right now.
But they don't work alone in other mines. Anglo's always working better. So why should I risk my life? Because I'm a Mexican? That
Totally
shouldn't be
different
bad.
watching it now than the first time I watched
3
it.
months of negotiations. Nothing happens.
Yeah, it is
Even with Brother
ironic that
Barnes here
there's
from the
a
International.
the
What have we
writer's strike
got?
going on while
No
this
raise,
strike's
no
going on. Both
seniority,
of these are,
no safety
both
code,
of them are
nothing.
actually really revolutionary.
Take a drink.
Yeah.
Talk to.
I say we gotta take action. Now.
Yeah, I think this film is way ahead of itself, even ahead of some of the stuff that's being made today. It's still just ahead of its time in a lot of the stuff it wants to tackle.
But with a war boom on,
Then why is the company hanging tough? They signed contracts with the other locals, why not this one?
because most of us here are Mexican Americans. Because we want equality with Anglo miners. The same pay, same conditions.
Exactly. And equality's the one thing the bosses can't afford. The biggest club they have over the Anglo locals is, well, at least you get more than the Mexicans.
Okay, so discrimination hurts the Anglo too. But it hurts me more. And I've had enough of it.
But you don't fully strike when the bosses want it, so they can smash your union. You wait till you're ready so you can win.
Do the bosses wait? No sanitation. So my kids get sick. Does the company doctor wait? $20. So we miss one payment on the radio bought from a well. Does the company store wait? They will take it away. Why is the boss's store in such a hurry? They're trying to scare us, that's why. To make us afraid to move. To hang on to what we got and like it. Well, I don't like it. And I'm not scared. And I'm fed up to here.
Hey, Ramon, te buscan.
What are you doing here? Something wrong with Mama?
I thought maybe you forgot.
Forgot what?
It's on the Saints Day.
Some of these moments where you can tell they're not professional actors. A little stiff on some of the
What
lines.
a kid. He can't wait.
I still like
My
it. This is,
wife thing stay.
this is really
I
cool.
was going to ask you, brothers. How about Mañanita, huh?
What time? Well, Mañanita, the later the better.
Oh, yeah. Why are they singing?
They are singing for me.
Can we light the candles?
Yes. Now we can light the candles.
So I searched up what is communism and what is socialism.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read it.
Go for it.
Alright, so communism is a political. I'll read it after this part.
For joy?
I'm a fool.
No, you aren't. Was it expensive, the beer?
Antonio paid for it.
Forgive me for saying you never thought of me.
I did forget. Louise told me.
All the next week, I kept thinking about my mañanita. I had never had so nice a party. It was like a song running through my mind.
1, 2, 3.
A daydream to lighten the long day's work. We all forgot our troubles at the mañanita. Even Ramon. I couldn't dance that night, not in my condition. But I wasn't really jealous when he danced with the others, because it was good just to see him smile again.
I always find that wording
And then one morning,
interesting. Not in my condition, I couldn't
hanging out
dance.
my wash.
You know,
And while we were talking,
made me think, was
the
she
ladies
hurt?
came.
But she's pregnant.
They were kind of delegation.
It's an interesting way
It
to
was
say
about
it.
the sanitation, they said. The
Yeah.
Anglo miners
It
kept
makes it
back
sound like it's a
and
bad
hot
thing.
running water.
Yeah. Injured or sick or something.
Sounds ominous.
I know.
But
I spoke to
Yeah.
Ramon about it only a week ago. He said they dropped it from the union demand.
Es lo de siempre. We've got to make them understand. Make the men face up to it. Show her the sign. We'll make a lot of signs like these. Then we'll get all the wives together and go right up to the mine.
To the mine?
Sure. Where they're negotiating in the company office, we'll go up there and picket the place.
Then both sides will see we mean business. A picket line of ladies?
Sure. Why not? You can count me in.
Bruce.
Listen, we ought to be in a wood choppers union. Chop wood for breakfast, chop wood, wash his clothes, chop wood, heat the iron, chop wood, scrub floors, chop wood, cook his dinner. And do you know what he will say when he comes home? What have you been doing all day? Reading funny papers?
I like that lady. She's got an attitude.
How about it? We got to.
No, I can't. If Ramon ever found me in a
no,
picket
like she is
line,
probably
he'd
spicy.
beat you? No. Accidente.
This is hilarious.
It's all a long gathering scene.
Yeah, I know this is a very serious situation, but like the filming is hilarious to watch.
Yeah, it's kind of throughout the film it's kind of hit and miss. You know, there's some stuff I'm like, oh, it's actually pretty good for what they were working with.
So that background sound is supposed to be the alarm from the ambulance.
It's the I think just the facilities alarm.
Oh. He looks like there's nothing wrong with him.
He looks fine, doesn't he?
Looks like he is more perfectly fine. Oh wait, so the ambulance is arriving at the facility.
Yeah.
That's funny. I see what you mean by a little stiff.
Yeah, there's some of the... He was telling me a lot of people were miners, just local townspeople.
It's bound to happen when a man works alone. Why did you give the man a warning signal? Your foreman says that's the foreman's job. Well, I checked the drift just before he blasted. It was all clear. The man must have been asleep or something. You weren't even there. You were back at the station. Kalinsky told me. You're a liar, Pancho. A no good, dirty... You there! Get a hold on yourself. A man's been hurt. I'm as sorry about it as you are, savvy? Accidents are costly to everyone. To the company most of all. I see no reason to treat the occasion like a paid holiday. Suppose we all get back to work. Pardon? All right, fellas, the excitement's over. Let's get to it. Ahora, yo creo. Sí. What are they saying? No savvy. Barnes, what about it? Tell them how to get back to work. They don't work for me. I work for them. Police.
I love when people stand together though. That is tight.
Yeah.
Up to you, brothers.
See. Get me! Mano!
Okay, I love the silence.
Yep. Got a real standoff going.
Ooh, okay, sound design. Let's go.
So we're ready.
Love it. I love it.
That night, the men held a union meeting just to make the walkout official. It didn't take them long. They voted to strike 93-5. And Teresa said, now was the time for us to go in. I didn't want to. I had never been to a union meeting. But the others said, one go, all go.
Tenemos varios agravios, hermanos, y muchas demandas. Pero todo esto se puede traer a un punto básico, la igualdad.
The meeting was nearly over when we came in. Charlie Vidal was making a speech.
Pero sobre todo esto,
He said there was only one issue in this strike, equality. But the mine owners would stop at nothing to keep them from getting equality. He said the bosses would try to split the Anglo workers and the Mexican-American workers and offer rewards to one man if he would sell out his brother.
Hermanos, solamente hay una defensa contra de esta táctica. Y esto es unidad. La unidad de todos los hombres trabajadores.
Kind of cool how instead of captioning him with English subtitles, they just had her worked it into her narration, so he's giving his whole speech in Spanish, and she can just break it down for us.
Okay, see, that was so smooth, I didn't even notice.
Like, cool technique to do it.
I might have to steal that. I might have to steal that. Add that to my bag.
It's a nice trick.
The ladies have been talking about sanitation. And we were thinking if the issue is equality, like you say it is, then maybe we ought to have equality in plumbing too. I mean, maybe we could make it a strike demand. Some of the ladies thought it might be a good idea to have a ladies' auxiliary. Well, we'd like to help out if we can.
He's mad.
I think I can speak for all the brothers in saying we appreciate the ladies offering to help. But it's getting late, and I suggest that we table it. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Just a question of when.
Why didn't you support her? You're the worst of the lot.
But Teresa, you can't push these things too fast.
You were pushing all right, pushing us right back in our place.
Why didn't you check this thing with me? It's embarrassing.
At least you didn't make a fool of yourself like Gonzalo.
It's not a bad idea. To make sanitation one of our demands.
Honey, or why don't you just put a sign outside? No dogs, no women, allowed.
He may be in the doghouse tonight.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Buddy. It's not looking good for him. Did you make those little animations? That is so cool.
It was fun.
Is this how they really used to do strikes back in the day?
I don't know.
And so it began.
Maybe.
Much like any other
I
strike.
mean, they still picket today.
There would be no
I mean, yeah.
settlement.
But I mean, like, did they used to,
said,
like, was it like an organized thing? Like, you get together, you walk around in a circle?
But the back to work movement didn't work.
I would imagine some places, yeah.
And so the company recruited a few strike breakers from out of town.
Because I imagine if this is like the road going to the facility.
But they usually lost their nerve
And the,
when they saw the size of
Yeah,
the
so they're
big
just
mine.
blocking off all access to the mine right now.
oh, okay.
The sheriff's men were always there. They stood around showing off their weapons. But the men only marched. Day after day. Week after week.
Kind of like that shot.
At first it was an unreadable
It's a nice,
route.
just, let's frame it in, let's show their weapons and show the men in the
The unit
background.
gave us
I always
rations,
like shooting
and we had
through
to figure
something.
out how to
It
feed
always
our
makes the
families
shot
on
look
them.
more interesting.
Yeah, we can
But
put something in
then
that
one morning,
foreground.
Mrs. Salazar went to
Give
the
some
big
great
mine.
layering and,
Her
in this
husband
case, a
had been
great
killed in a
juxtaposition
strike
of the
many years before.
kind of the weapons
And she
versus the
wanted to
peaceful
be there.
protest.
Nobody remembers just how it happened.
Violence versus the peace.
But one day, Mrs. Salazar
They're doing their thing
started
though. This is
marching
cool.
with them. And she kept on marching with them. After a while, some of the other women began to bring coffee for their husbands. And maybe a couple of tacos. Because a man gets tired and hungry on picket duty. It was about that time the union decided maybe they'd better set up a ladies' auxiliary after all. I didn't come to the lines at first. My time was near. And besides,
Like my
Ramon
time
didn't
was
approve.
near.
to give birth.
Man who loves good coffee.
But that's the thing. The
And
word.
he swore the other ladies in
It
the
is.
place
They use some odd
slut.
language on some of these.
So one day, I made the coffee.
You know, this is like building the little shed, trying to bring coffee and snacks. Like, it reminds me of some of the issues they're having right now in Hollywood with, you know, the accusations that Universal cut down some shade trees so the strikers wouldn't have shade, and, you know, making hard conditions for them to actually picket in, which is actually against the rules and causes them problems, and they're able to file complaints against that. But it's kind of, you know, just kind of reminds me that, you know, like, these issues are, a lot of these are ever present. They don't go away. Not ever present. But
They're not ever present, but they do repeat themselves.
Yeah.
In different ways.
Kind of still dealing with the same stuff.
Yeah.
Jenkins, why string along with them tamale eaters? I just said I come like tamales fine.
Two scabs got through on the other side of the hill. We chased the rest back.
Recognize them?
Anglos from out of town. But they're not miners, I could tell that. They don't know zinc from Chinola.
Okay, take 5. Get yourself a cup of coffee.
Hey, Ramon, here comes the super.
You say here comes the super?
Mm-hmm.
Superintendent?
Yeah, I think so.
Look at that car.
They got some cool cars.
Oh, they were whipping back in the day.
How's it going? Well, those new fellows you hired from out of town, we brought them up here by truck this morning. They took one look at that picket line, turned tail.
They don't look so rough to me.
Well, Mr. Hartwell, they got some pretty tough hombres there. Especially that picket captain. What's his name? Raymond something or other.
Oh, yes, I know that one.
That's what many of the actors, writers, directors, groups that were blacklisted. So we're blacklisted for was simply not naming names and wanting to rat out other people that might be a communist.
They're like, we're just not saying anything.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything. You don't have a right to know. And so they wouldn't say anything, and they'd be like, well, then you must be guilty of something, and just blacklist you.
All company property, Mr. Hartwell.
Kind of just crazy to think that happened.
The housing area,
Yeah.
everything.
It was the wild, wild west back then.
Mm-hmm.
And who does the throwing?
But you still see some of it now, today even.
Oh yeah, no, it's still very relevant today.
This is just a little ritual to impress.
I think it was just more.
Now, why don't you let this gentleman pass?
Couldn't get away with
there.
blacklisting somebody today, probably, but
Yeah, it's like that stuff. This was all new.
It's the president
So
of the
like,
company himself.
they're like, well,
Come
we're
all
just
the way
gonna
out here
just
to
go
make
full
Jenkins
force at it.
general manager.
Now that you couldn't really do that.
yeah.
Still happens, but
Well, they're like
more
children in many ways.
slicker ways.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you have to humor them. Sometimes
We're not as united in our fear. Like back then, they were able to unite most of the country in the fear of the Red Scare. And we don't have, instead of everyone being scared of that big thing, everyone's kind of scared of, it's kind of the more split up, you know?
Yeah,
So it's
we're
hard to
not-
unite everyone in that.
We're not dealing with
Welcome to one.
like actual tensions between countries or
Man would like to know who
We're
this
dealing
gentleman
with
is.
Yeah, not the same
internal
way.
country
All right,
Exactly.
no secret.
tension. So
My name's
Yeah.
Hartwell.
We don't have a
Company
common
based in
enemy.
office.
yeah,
You
we
mean
don't
Delaware?
have any like
New York.
external
New
enemy
York.
really.
You're not the company
That like the
president by any
people
chance? No.
as a whole are worried
Too
about.
bad.
Yeah,
The men
exactly.
have always wanted to
We're
take a
we're
look
more
at
worried
that.
about each other
Yeah,
Come on here to settle
than
this
the
fight.
bigger
Well, if that's
Yeah.
possible.
the bigger
we're worried
outside
about
monster.
inside the United
Negotiate.
States, not really like
Are we talking to a union
outside
spokesman?
of
Yeah,
Not
like
exactly.
the bigger
what's
picture. of
going to
stuff.
infiltrate
I
us
wish he
from
were
somewhere
one.
else?
Yeah,
He knows more about mining than those pie cards we've had to deal with. I mean it. I know your work record. You were in line for foreman when this trouble started. Did you know that? Yes, sir, you had a real future with this company. But let up those Reds stir you up, and now they'll sell you down the river.
There you go. Let
Well,
those
we
Reds
wake up,
stir you
Ray.
up.
Huh? That's your name, isn't it, Ray?
My name is Quintero. Mr. Quintero.
We gonna let us pass, or do I have to call the sheriff?
There's nothing stopping you. I was wrong. They don't want Jenkins for general manager. They want me. You should have heard that fellow. What a line. I was up for a foreman, he says. Fíjate. What's the matter?
It's nothing. Just a little cut.
There's a good chance that over the shoulder is not Rosario Revolta. She actually got kicked out of the country before they could finish filming, and they had to finish up with stand-ins, just shooting from behind.
What? She got deported, or?
Yeah, basically, they came up with some infraction to catch her on, arrest her, and send her home. What it turned out to be was, when she came into the U.S., they didn't stamp her passport at the border, and so they sent her home.
So wait, shouldn't the person that
That would make sense, right? They'll get in trouble and they just give her the stamp and let her stay, but they just really wanted to shut this film down. It was getting attacked not only by others in Hollywood, but by politicians, senators, just all over the place. You know, at one point, a lot of the local townspeople who didn't support it, you know, put up a fight and tried to chase them out of town. Throughout production, there were bullets, you know, guns fired at cars, houses burnt down. 2 of the Union houses were set on fire. People were beat up. Some actors, cast and crew were beat up. Cameras were taken. So they just they had it from everywhere.
And these are police chasing him right now.
So they're trying to chase Scabs, and then the police are chasing them for chasing Scabs.
For the love of God. You! I'd expect it of an Anglo, yes.
Ramon, I'm in
But
jail.
you,
I had to get a job.
you who the bloodsucker.
Ramon, my kid.
Tú, traidor a tu gente, rompehuelgas, desgraciado. You think my kids have enough to eat, you rat?
I know it's wrong. Just let me go. I'll let down. Just let me go.
You think I was gonna work you over? I wouldn't dirty my hands on you.
Luis! The baby! Get the weapon, quick!
You can hear kind of on that, her yelling for Louise, you can hear kind of the echo, the weird, I don't know what they did on the audio, but...
Want to have a little talk with you where you slugged that fella back there.
But that's a lie, I didn't.
Well, you know that's no way to talk to a white man.
No! Go back and get a blanket, Junior, so we can carry her!
Hey, Vance, I thought you said this bullfighter was full of pepper. Don't look so peppery now. Oh, but he is. He's full of chili this morning. He likes it hot. His tequila makes it good and hot for him, don't you, Poncho?
Sheriff, we need a doctor quick. There's a woman gonna have a baby.
You take me for an ambulance driver?
This is a company doctor. We don't have a car if you just get him.
Are you kidding? Company doctor won't come to no picket line.
We can get her from raise and touch her inside!
Hold your head up, Poncho. That's no way to sit.
I'll not leave you all, you lice. Forgive your fruition, this time will never be born. Ay, madre, Dios ten compasión. Gracias, mi child. Love the child lives. Ay, oh my God. Esperanza, Ramón,
Ramon was in the hospital for a week, and then in the county jail for 30 days, charged with assault and resisting arrest. But I made up my mind to postpone the christening till he got out of jail. We christened him Juan. That night, we had a double celebration. Juanito's christening, Ramon's homecoming. And we put all the children to sleep in the bedroom, as usual. And the men took over the parlor, as usual.
$5,000. That beats. Raise it 10,000. Dog. All right, let's see him. Jesus, Lord. Go to Papa.
Here's those deputies, La Gente.
Yeah. Been lots of provocation lately. They figure if they can lock up the leadership on some phony charge, maybe they can bust the strike.
Are we gonna let him play poker all night? I want to dance.
With whose husband?
With any of them, even my own.
If you dance with my husband, you'll have to put up with this.
And another thing, your attitude towards Anglos. If you're going to be a leader,
What attitude?
you lump them all together. Anglo workers and Anglo bosses.
He's a guest in my house, isn't he?
You're even suspicious of him.
Maybe. I think he's got a few things to learn about our people.
Go on. Spill it.
Well, you're the organizer. You work out strike strategies. Most of the time you're dead right. When you figure everything the rank and file to do down to the last detail, you don't give us anything to think about. Are you afraid we're too lazy to take initiative?
You know I don't think that.
Maybe not. But there's another thing. Like when you came in tonight, I heard you ask your wife, who's that? His grandfather? That's Juarez, the father of Mexico. If I wouldn't know a picture of George Washington, you would say I was an awful dumb Mexican.
I've never seen it fail.
Try to give Ramon a friendly criticism and he kicks it right back in your face.
No, he's right. I've got a lot to learn.
Makes you feel any better, he's got even less use for women.
What are they talking about in there? Discussing each other's weaknesses.
I didn't know they had any.
Right now, Ramon's on the receiving end.
If we shut out the women from the life of the
Come
union...
on. Bet. Let's break up that game.
We can't think of them just as housewives, but as partners. And we have to treat them as such.
Well, look who's talking. A new world champion of women's rights.
Oh, cut it out, Ruth.
Me, I'm a camp follower, following as organizer from one mining camp to another. Montana, Colorado, Idaho. But does he ever think to organize the women? No. Wives don't count in the Anglo-locals either. Not that I like the way you treat your wife, Ramon. I think you're all wrong. But when Dr.
Shut him
Burns
down.
gives you his cure-all for female problems, just ask him if he's tried it at home.
Hey, Esperanza.
Esperanza's nursing the baby.
There goes the game. Good. Consuelo, turn off the radio. Come on, Papa. On your feet.
Oh my goodness.
Got some dance moves there.
Spot on. She was spot on.
Yep.
What are they doing with them?
Look at him. A fighter, huh?
He was born fighting and born hungry.
Drink. Drink, Juanito. You'll never have it so good.
He'll have it good. Someday. What were they saying about you in there?
They say I'm no good to you.
You are no good to me in jail.
I'd lie in my cell in my cot and I couldn't sleep. With the bugs and the stink and the heat. And I'd say to myself, think of something nice. Something beautiful. Then I'd think of you. And my heart would pound against the cot for love of you. Not just Juanito. You'll have it good too, Esperanza. We're gonna win this strike.
What makes you so sure?
Because if we lose more than a strike. We lose the union, and the men know it. And if we win more than a few demands. We win something bigger. Hope. Hope for our kids. Juanito can't grow strong on milk alone.
Is this the Concerto place? What do you want? We've got a court order.
You can come in here without a warrant.
We got the warrant, too. We don't want no trouble. All we want is this radio here.
We hate to break in on you folks like this, but this here fella owns a radio store and he got himself a repossession order.
Don't touch it.
I don't want no trouble, as you can tell. We got orders to repossess this machine.
I said don't touch it.
Let them take it.
Over my dead body.
I don't want your dead body. I don't want you back in jail either.
But it's yours. I want that.
Can't you see they want to start a fight so they can lock you all up at one time?
See, y'all just mad that we're in there grooving. That's crazy.
They're just having fun.
What are you so sad about? Well, let's have some real music.
You know, it's like the delivery is not always great, the acting is not always great, but like there's some good writing behind this film.
This one was very well written. Very well put together.
Just a good flow to it.
They printed lies about us in their newspapers. They said that all the Mexicans ought to be sent back where they came from.
How can I go back where I come from? The church that I was born in is buried on this company property.
Why don't nobody ever tell the bosses to go back to where they come from?
There wouldn't be any bosses in the state of New Mexico if they did.
Brother, live to see the day.
Jenkins ain't no boss.
Mean we're going to let people like Jenkins stay here?
You can't send him back to Oklahoma. It would be inhuman.
But I was born in Texas.
Oklahoma.
No, that's even worse.
And the 7th month came. We
The
couldn't
little moments like that, there's good heart in the film, you know?
By now, the strike fund was nearly gone.
Yeah, this is
The few families couldn't take it any longer.
This is definitely very,
And where they went, we do
very
not
well
know.
put together.
And so, it was decided by the union.
And then you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, it was written by a guy who was nominated for 5 Oscars.
Another mile.
Like, this lines
The
up.
strikers who found jobs divided their pay with the union, so the rest of us might eat. Ramon was not a hardship case. Only 3 children to feed. Even so, the mine owners might have starved us out, were it not for the help we got from our international in Denver and from the other locals.
Denver.
International in Denver.
We, who thought no one outside our
We're
country
lit.
knew of
We
our
made the
work
cut.
You making stuff happen in Denver. I'm not gonna lie to you.
found we were wrong. Letters came from our own people of the Southwest, from far away,
Well, this did happen. The real strike went on for a very long time.
Birmingham,
And they did
New
get support
York.
from all over the country. And
messages of
letters and-
solidarity, and the crumpled dollar bills of working men. We women were helping, and not just as cooks and coffee makers. A few of the men made jokes about it, but the work had to be done, so they let us stay. No one knew how great a change it was, till the day of the crisis. The sheriff was smiling, so we knew he brought bad news. The company had got a court injunction ordering the strikers to stop picketing. A Taft-Hartley injunction, they called it. It meant heavy fines and jail sentences for the strikers if they disobeyed. A decision had to be made at once whether to obey the order or not.
Great, so we'll take a little intermission, kind of discuss what we've seen so far. What do you think? It's your first time seeing the film?
Yeah, it is my first time.
Yeah.
So, I think, I would say it's a little difficult to follow, but it's definitely very well written. Very mindful about what was going on in that time, and it does a really good job of telling what time period we're in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just old, so
It is,
not
yeah.
like there's not as many effects and different things going on, but it's really all in the shot.
Yeah.
Of just, it's all in like one shot, and to see that it was only 5 professional actors is like, you kind of see the difference between that too.
Yeah, you definitely notice a lot of that, and that they didn't have the full support that a regular film would. They had a very small budget. IATSE, the International, what is it? The International Association of Stagehand and Theater Workers, wouldn't let anybody work on it. So they did have to get like a lot of non-professional or maybe just less trained crews. They actually had, I think it was 4 black members on the crew, which at the time they were not allowed in IATSE, which means they could not work on a Hollywood set with any of the big studios. So this was a far more diverse set than any other of the major pictures. Yeah, right. It's like it's cool, and it's one of those deals. It's like, this is really sad. Like, you're kidding me. In 1954, the major union for Hollywood crew did not let black people join, and therefore they did not get to work on the major movies. Like, but it's just like, that's insane.
Yeah,
in 1954.
Unfortunately, it's not surprising, but it's good to it's great that these things have happened, because who knows if this film wasn't made and those things never happened, like, where would the film industry be today? Where would other industries be today? Because this didn't get out.
Yeah, definitely. Like, they pushed the boundaries in so many ways with this film, and that being said, there's still a long way to go in Hollywood. There's continually issues with that, and getting representation, not just on screen but behind the camera, and it's getting better. It is, and it's obviously way better than when this came out.
Yeah.
But I don't want to downplay that we still have work to do, and I think that's what, watching this film, to me, like, this film tackles everything. They have, let's tackle women's rights, let's tackle workers' rights, race issues. They're over everything.
Police brutality.
Just capitalism in general. They're tackling all of it. And, I do think the prevalent theme is, the women's rights, the way in which the union and the men treat their wives is they want to change that. We got to fix that. And that is definitely the prevalent theme. But they are able to work in, all these things. And I think it is so far ahead of its time, in that nobody was talking about that. Even today, sometimes we're not touching some of these issues, and I think that just really sets this film apart, being able to really run that.
Even I like how this is so prevalent in what's going on now, because the work environment for people now is definitely something that you want to be that you're pretty upset about.
Absolutely. We still have big corporations that we're dealing with.
We're still dealing with really big corporations, and we're still dealing with police brutality, and we're still dealing with rights of just basic rights.
Yeah.
Things that we should literally be looking at, hey, this is not something we need to be focused on. This is just how we normally handle it.
It is, yeah. It's
but
a lot of stuff, but
yeah, it's really cool just to see that it's still touching on something that's prevalent now, and showing how people can still come together to solve it, because that's really the only thing that's going to help.
Yeah, we have to come together and work for progress, and obviously we've made a lot of progress since this film was made, but there's always work to do in the world, and I think that's just the reality of it. I like that, they talk about, they start off with, they say this is their land, but my roots, my family generation, and our opening narration goes back on this land, for decades, for generations, that I've been here, and now they want to say, oh, you're on our mining land. Like, oh, no, we were here long before you. And I think History Colorado Museum right now has a great exhibit called Borderlands, which is about that very thing, and it goes from New Mexico up into Colorado, and how we continually just push the border down, and all of a sudden these people that were maybe in Mexico are now all of a sudden American. Where we pushed over the native tribes in their regions, and it's a really sad history that we have, but they do a great job of telling that story, and this touches on that. Even back in 1954, touches on that fact of no, this was where my family's always been. I'm not, they say, oh, go home, no, this is my home. This is where I've been. I've been here since before you. but you just changed your border on me? Like, what's that all about?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how there's always a theme like that.
Yeah.
It's in so many different issues, just but it all comes around the same way, really.
Yeah.
But what can we do?
It is. It's it's unfortunately it's life, and all we can do is work to make it better where we can.
Yep.
And I do think watching this is surreal, not only because there's currently a big strike in the industry right now, which just brings it into this like I even saw articles when I was researching this as the strike was getting underway, and they're like, what can the union striking today learn from this movie? They could probably learn a lot from this movie.
It's like there's like what similarities are going on back then that we have today, and of course I don't know because I'm not a writer in Hollywood, but I'm sure they could pull a lot from seeing this, and who knows if they even are thinking about this, because there's so many different things going on, and it's like what can the community do to get behind them, and then what can they learn from the film that dealing with a situation like this, because it is a very revolutionary time in both of these situations. So
it really is. And I think just everything in this, it's all still relevant. Karina Longworth, she does a podcast, You Must Remember This. She does a series on Howard Hughes and his whole life, and he was all over the place. One of the big moguls in Hollywood for a while. And there's a whole episode on this movie because his fight really was to take down Paul Jericho. I knew this, and she points out in that episode that, unfortunately, a lot of the rhetoric that you see in this film, derogatory, used against the miners, the Mexican-American miners in particular, is rhetoric that we still see in the world today, unfortunately. We see that in the spectrum of, just different politics and everything, and we're still having some of these issues as if they never happened, and it's, it's just kind of, haven't figured it out yet.
Is that why you chose this movie, though?
No. I think this movie is a little hidden gem. It's in the public domain because obviously they just didn't have a lot of resources. They got blacklisted really quick. It just fell into the public domain as soon as their initial registration expired. But it's a masterclass in how to do a lot with a little, and how to stand up for something you believe in. Whether you agree with the film or not, they did, and they made something that they agreed on and thought was important to share. And I think, to me, I'm excited to be able to share this with other people and see what this, what this film has to offer.
Well, that is cool. So explain public domain to me.
So public domain is when something is basically considered now anyone can use it. So it's old enough, or maybe it had a copyright issue that it's no longer copyrighted, and the company can no longer use that as they can use it, but so maybe their likeness, we're gonna, and I feel like public domain laws are gonna change a lot because Mickey Mouse is getting ready to fall into public domain, and I don't think Disney's gonna let that happen.
No, they're not.
But basically, we can show this movie without having to pay royalties because it's now considered just a part of the public kind of conscience. This is just part of the world now.
Okay.
Things get old enough that you can copy it, you can remix it, you can duplicate it without any issues.
Okay. That makes sense. Now, okay.
Yep.
So, this movie fell into public domain rather quickly.
Very quickly, yeah. The laws have changed a lot, and now I believe I don't remember. I think you get 85, 90, 95 years on a copyright, and then it expires. Is the max you can get, but you have to do filings along the way to extend that. Especially back then, it's changed a lot. There are times where you had to file pretty frequently, and they just didn't file, so it just fell out of their copyright.
Is this an expensive process too, to be doing these filings, or is it kind of
it's pretty quick and easy, but it has been. Now it is. I don't know what it was like back then. It might have been more difficult. The laws have changed a lot. For example, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the old claymation film, is technically not copyrighted because they put the year in wrong. There was a point where you had to actually, in Roman numerals, put the year that you copyrighted it in like the credit sequence or the title sequence, and they put like one too many I's, and was never copyrighted. Now a lot of the music's still copyrighted, so you can't just show that film, and that's where it gets really tricky. Like, oh, the movie's not copywritten, but the music is, the soundtrack is, or maybe something else that was used in the movie is. But yeah, so sometimes it's as simple as that. We forgot to put the year in the movie. Now it's free to anybody. It doesn't happen that way anymore, but that was in the past ways that you could fall in.
That's probably something that got changed around during their time too.
Yeah.
Probably something they used against them. But yeah, like I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, it's a fun way to be able to experience some art that you otherwise might not get exposure to. And obviously there's a lot of low budget films fall in the public domain because they don't really care.
Yeah, well,
they didn't have the filings, so
I'm glad to be able to watch these because it definitely is more inspiring to like. There's only 5 actors.
Yeah,
like, I know 5 people.
Right? Like, oh, I can do this, right? So
like,
yeah,
it's a little more like, hey, I can actually do this. But like 5, so it was 5 professional actors, and then everybody else was just stand-ins, not stand-ins, but like from the surrounding
locals,
area.
people involved in the actual strike. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, they just brought them in and got quite a few, and you'll see more as we go along. So I say we jump back in.
Yeah.
Finish up the second half of this film and see if we get a satisfying conclusion.
Whether to obey the order or not.
If we obey the court, the strike will be lost. The scabs will move in as soon as our picket line is gone.
So the Taft-Hartley Act was meant
If we
to
defy the
limit
court,
what the unions could do,
our pickets will be arrested.
so they couldn't try and make it more fair between the
strike will be
corporations
lost
and the unions with their strikes. Sometimes that's been used to make it
So
not
there
fair.
it is, brothers.
It's still used today, actually.
Really?
The bosses have us coming and going.
Yep, it's been used in the last
I
decade
just
or
want to
two
say this.
In different
No matter how you decide,
labor
the
negotiations
International
and
will
strikes.
back you up as it's always backed.
I forget the most recent.
This is a democratic union. The decision is up to you.
So right now it was saying they can't continue to block or do the picket line and block the access to the mine. But the wording was very specific that no men could do it.
No men.
Yeah.
Let's see what they did there.
And this is actually how the original strike happened down in New Mexico.
If we give up now, if we obey this rotten Taft-Hartley, we are fools and cowards. There is only one way. Fight them. Fight them all.
Come, we don't gain nothing.
They'll arrest them. Que nos arresten. Es todo lo que les preocupa. ¿No se dan cuenta que están arrestando a nuestra unión? ¿Qué nos vamos a esconder tras de las naguas?
You notice the book on the desk at the front. I don't catch the full title, but it says genocide. Another statement they're trying to work in.
The company had them coming and going. It
They
seemed the
even
strike
peep.
was
That's
lost.
amazing.
Brother Chairman, if you read the court injunction carefully, you will see that it only prohibits striking minors from picketing. We women are not striking
That's what
minors.
it is, striking minors, not
We
men
will take
specifically.
over your picket line. Don't laugh. We have a solution, you have none. Brother Quintero was right when he said we'll lose 50 years of gains. He will lose this strike. Your wife and children too. But this we promise. If women take your places on the picket line, the strike will not be broken and no scabs will take your job.
If that's a motion, only members of the union can make a motion.
I so move. Second.
You have heard the motion.
The
floor is open for
Taft-Hartley
debate.
Act.
Señor
what I saw?
Presidente,
Yeah.
si permitimos que nuestras mujeres se mezclen en este asunto, nos vamos a convertir en la burla de todo el movimiento obrero.
Hermano, te equivoco eso. Las hermanas pueden ayudarnos a nosotros. Ellas no se manchan con ayudarnos a nosotros. Son nuestras compañeras y pueden participar en esta
Luz asked which was worse, to hide behind a woman's skirt
Honestly,
or go down on his knees before the boss.
I love that they didn't even worry about translating a lot of that. They just let it happen. I think that's really cool.
Brothers, we don't count enough on our women.
I think it flows better that way too. It looks awful to me when it gets translated from a different language, but it's not performed in.
Yeah.
Their wives.
It doesn't work very well.
Carlota Sanchez said she didn't think picketing was proper for ladies. It wasn't nice. Maybe even a sin.
Wasn't nice.
I say let's give the sisters a chance. And what will happen when the cops come? And beat our women up? Are we gonna stand there and watch them? No. We'll take over anyway. And we'll be right back where we started. Only worse. Even more humiliated. Brothers, I beg you, don't allow this. Call the question.
He's just got a bit of an ego problem, I
Questions
think.
have been called. You brothers know what you are voting on. That the sisters of the auxiliary take over the picket line. All those in favor will so signify.
Brother Chairman, point of order.
I don't know anything about these questions of parliament. You men are voting on something the women are to do or not to do. So I think it's only fair if the women be allowed to vote. Especially if they have to do the job.
Yeah, see, there's that book again. I want to know what book that is.
Brothers and sisters, it would be unconstitutional to permit women to vote at a union meeting.
If there's no objection, we could adjourn this meeting.
No. Wait. And reconvene this meeting as a community mass meeting with every adult entitled to a vote.
I so move.
All right. On the motion to adjourn, all those in favor will raise their hands. All those opposed. The ayes have it. Now every adult is entitled to a vote.
On the original question.
Of course, the original question.
All those in favor that the sisters take over the picket line will so signify by raising their hands. All those opposed.
Is a tie.
I like how they take the full time to count. This is one of those instances where you could have cut out some of that.
Carried 103 to 85.
So they didn't let the women take it at first.
Oh, they did.
They did. So that was them confirming, yes, they can go out there and take the money.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A lot of cars there.
And so they came, the women. They came from Singtown and the hills beyond, from other mining camps. Women we had never seen before. Women who had nothing to do with the strike. Somehow they heard about the women's picket line, and they came.
A lot of people.
And the men came too. I think they were afraid. Afraid the women wouldn't stand fast. Or maybe afraid they would. But not all the women went to the picket post. Some were forbidden by their husbands. It's not fair.
The way that guy's shaking his head.
I should be there with them,
No.
After all, I'm the one who got
This
the
is
window.
not okay.
The union don't run my house.
That was one of those
Those
moments they
turn
could
you out
have
to
him
make
standing
fools of
still.
himself.
Yeah.
But you don't see
They
any
got
of
the
them
same
down there.
effects.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. There's Ruth Barnes.
She's the organizer's wife. She's gotta be there.
No, she wants to be there. And there is Mrs. Kalinsky.
There's Jenkins' wife. You don't see her on no picket line.
Anglo-husbands can also be backward.
Can be what?
Backward.
Can be what?
Can't I even put in an appearance?
With a baby in your arms?
The baby likes to be walked. It helps him stir.
Hey, girl, wait a minute. Don't you want to leave my pistol? Shut up. What's so amusing? This morning a court order.
I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Alexander. Better the law, you know. All that injunction says is there's no picketing by miners.
Whose side are you on, anyway?
Don't get excited. They'll scatter like quail.
Well, let's get at it before another 100 dame shows up.
All right, boys.
What about these?
Forget it. They'll scatter like quail.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not super familiar with how quails scatter.
I didn't know quail was the actual thing. Yeah, I've only heard that word like twice in my life.
Really?
And well,
Yep.
3 times now.
Only a few times. Oh, ran her over. See, it's not just the thing. She has to tell them, don't come down here. They'll shoot you.
Mustard, is that mustard gas? Tear gas? Yeah.
Something, yeah. This is
I
the
mean, I shouldn't
random
be
shot
laughing, but
thrown
this is
in.
crazy.
There you go. Our hero.
Why are you standing there? Do something.
Relax.
But women are getting hurt. We've got to take over.
They're doing all right.
Anyway, looks like you got your hands
I love how calm those two are.
Yeah, those two.
There's
They're like, yeah, no,
stay.
they'll be fine.
Yeah,
They're
that's
chilling.
good.
Slapping the gun out of his hand with her shoe is crazy.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen.
Some courage there.
And Shorty on on my guy's back. That's great. That was
Yeah.
crazy too.
Stuff I didn't expect to see in this movie.
Like what?
Papa, I'm hungry.
So am I.
He's grumpy.
I feel like just because you're mad, I can't eat.
Yeah.
What?
He doesn't know how to cook for himself, I don't think.
Huh?
I don't think he knows how to cook for himself.
You all right? Sure.
That could be a thing. She just comes back just chilling.
Yep.
Must have been some experience for you, huh?
Yes.
I guess you got enough today to last your lifetime.
I'm going back tomorrow.
Listen, you might get hurt.
I might.
If you think I'm going to play nursemaid from now on, you're crazy. I've had these kids all day.
I've had them since the day they were born.
I'm telling you, I don't stay home with these kids tomorrow.
Okay? And tomorrow, I take the kids with me to the picket line.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Yep, she showed him. What's that? I can never hear that line now without thinking of
And
The
so I
Office.
came
Oh, how
back
the
the next
turntables
day.
have...
And every day for the next month.
Now you forgot it.
I kept one
No, that's it.
coffee shop.
Oh, how the turntables.
How the
And
turntables
weather
have...
was good,
Oh, the
and there
tables
was
have
fish
turned.
on the line.
I now
brought his
remember.
flip
I'm
Yep.
outside.
tripping. Dang.
Estella played with the little one, and Luis was in school. Ramon came every day,
Clearly hiding in the bushes.
just watching. The ladies, well, they criticized Ramon for not keeping the kids.
And that's just frustrating. They stand there and watch them not only pick it for them, but take care of the kids for them.
And they're over there
The sheriff's
dancing.
men let
That's
us
crazy.
alone.
Having fun.
But then they cursed us, insulted us, called us foul names.
Classic school bullies.
It started again.
I just don't think that I have the guts to stand in front of a car like that and try and hold it back. Ooh,
Like, ain't no way.
that was pretty good though.
They used tear gas again.
You gotta have some strong hands.
And I took the
Slap
baby
a
away from
timing
the
belt up.
danger.
Out the engine is crazy.
Just knock that thing
We
out.
spread out as we had planned.
And break it? What? While the engine's on.
They didn't make
it'll
them very
go.
good back then, I guess.
They couldn't break it.
Well? I've tried everything but shooting them down.
You haven't tried locking them up.
You want them all arrested?
No. Just the ringleaders, the fire eaters. The ones with big families. Barton, where's that boy?
Hey, you.
Sounds a lot like, they're very targeted. We want the ones with big families, like they're trying to make it hard. It reminds me of that leak that we just had from one of the studios, where there was like a leaked quote that one of them supposedly said, we'll starve out the writers. We'll let them strike until they're starving, until they're getting kicked out of their homes.
No,
It's like kind of that same thing. It's still these same things. Let's just see if we can.
Yeah, let's see how long we can outlast them.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not scared to push that extra bit. Doesn't matter how bad it harms somebody, just to save a few dollars.
Keep marching, sisters. Let's show some discipline. But Teresa, they'll charge us with resisting arrest. Keep marching, sisters. Keep marching.
Mrs. Salazar, the old one. Shana Diaz, that one in the blue dress. Luz Morales, that one. Mrs. Kalinsky, the Anglo. Ruth Barn, she's the organizer's wife. Lana Alvarez, the pretty one. And that one. With the baby? She's Ramon Quintero's wife. He doesn't like her being here.
You take care of the baby, Esperanza. Don't worry about Juanito. We can take care of Stella, too.
No, the baby stays with me.
It looks like they just ended up taking all of them.
Yeah, it's like, bro, they left with the whole pickup.
Like, we're just gonna take the leaders, and they just loaded up.
We're just gonna take leaders.
Yep.
The whole team?
They're just not consistent.
Like, you took, like, I would say like 5.
Yeah.
Max. Cause like, dang, they really did take the whole squad.
Wow. Oh, look, they got reinforcements came in though. They were able to organize a lot of extras for this film. That was very impressive.
Okay, now I see. The last scene makes sense because that's crazy. $45 women and 17 children.
Yep. Well, they kept this very accurate to what actually happened.
10 times. We have no food. We have no beds. We have no beds. So will you please, please, shut up?
You can't drink this milk. It will make you sick. It's an formula. I was a fool. I shouldn't have. Don't you worry. We'll get some extra.
That's insane that they can sit through some stuff like that and not do
The
anything.
baby can't drink this store milk. We want his formula.
You want the what?
The formula. The formula. We want the formula. We want the formula. We want the formula. We want the formula.
Doesn't this movie just make you want to go strike against something?
That's got me ready to stand up for justice. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Right.
Well,
It's doing its
you
job.
can get the JP to swear out peace bonds, or you can heist the bail high enough to keep him in jail.
Keep him? What am I supposed to do? Feed him out of my own pocket?
Well, I want to know, Mr. Hartwell, is when are you going to settle this thing? You won't negotiate with us? What do you want to know?
Company has on the minds. You've got to see the larger picture. Once these people get out of hand,
These people. When you say it like that, it's just not.
Just gives it right away.
Yep. Got up really close to him before he noticed him.
Enough of me.
I come for my kids. They're in your jail.
But you've played every trump in your hand. They're not dead yet.
Not every trump.
Such as what?
I can't shut them dames up. They keep yelling about a formula.
What?
A formula for the baby or something. His kid.
The sheriffs don't seem too bright.
Y'all obviously don't got no kids at home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, looky here. I got you some milk for the baby, so what's all the belly aching about?
That milk is no good. Queremos la fórmula. Queremos la fórmula.
Totally at the end.
I am not running a drugstore. You girls got only yourselves to blame for this. You could be back with your families in an hour. All you got to do is to sign a pledge not to go back on the picket line.
Don't sign nothing for the stinker. No.
Kid's out.
He's like, alright, I'm going to see. Right now.
Hey, Ponce, come here.
You just imagine like 30, 40 years after this film came out, just being like, oh yeah, there's that time I was in a movie. Like, you're not an actor. This isn't like your normal thing to do. You're like, I played a main role.
Yeah, that is insane.
People like telling your kids, they'd be like, no, you didn't.
Like, you and watch it.
Yeah.
See, and that's you right there.
All right,
That's crazy.
where's his baby? Little girl.
It's a weird concept. I love this.
Queremos comida. Queremos camas. Queremos baño. Queremos comida.
Yeah, for free water in the bathroom.
Yeah. They just, all right, we made you happy. We got the baby out here. They go right back to it.
The man just hit himself in the face with the water?
Not so good at this. This is not his forte. He was literally fired just because he was friends with somebody.
That's insane.
Yeah.
¿Cómo va? Esto no tiene fin. 3 hours just to heat enough water to wash this stuff. I'm telling you something. If this strike is ever settled, which I doubt, I'll never go back to work for that company unless they install hot running water for us. Should have been a union demand from the beginning.
You're telling me?
Changed his mind. Very on the nose. That's the one thing. I don't like that on the nose writing, but gets the point across.
Like Charlie Vidal says, there's two kinds of slavery. Work slavery and domestic slavery. A woman's question, he calls it.
Woman question.
Yeah? The problem is what to do about it.
So, what does he want to do about it?
He says give him equality. Equality is in jobs, equality is in homes, and also sex equality.
What do you mean, sex equality?
You know, lo que es bueno para el hombre es bueno para la mujer.
Gotta throw that into Spanish.
He's some organizer, that Charlie. He can
Oh,
organize
wow.
a wife right out of your home.
That's insane.
Papa, can't I leave now? There's a meeting at the junior shop stewards.
The what?
The junior shop stewards. There's lots of ways we can help.
Don't I have enough troubles without them shipping you up to reform school?
But you need all the help you can get.
You've got a helper around the house.
But you've got me doing everything. Mama never used to make me dry the dishes.
You should have a helper without being asked.
Hasta mañana.
Very chipper for someone who just spent some time in jail.
Yeah, they hit me in the face with the door. Like, dang.
Thanks so much, boss. They finally brought Patsy. I nearly lost my voice for yelling so much. My voice is telling that to the baby.
They're asleep.
Did you have to find a bastard to go back to the picket line?
No, we wouldn't do it.
But if you go back, they'll lock you up again.
No, the sheriff's had enough of us. We're talking crazy.
That's one way to do it.
Buenas noches, Luz. Hi, Luz. ¿Qué tal, Teresa? Hello. Well, it's all set. Consuelo Squad can take the day off tomorrow. We're taking over. All right. We'll work it out.
We've got to have a talk, you and me.
All right. But later, we have got a meeting now.
A meeting?
Yes, to plan for the picket line tomorrow. You can sit in if you want.
He still hasn't learned.
Now, let's see. Who's available? Charlotte Hanson is out of
Yeah, I
town.
can take the chair from out my foot, though. That's crazy.
And there are a whole lot of men going on a pure
Should put him in his place.
They're in your
Get your
40th.
big old foot off the chair.
They're
Boy,
right
she's
around
kind of
here.
strong.
But we can help them.
Well.
For the rest of us.
Oh, he's just kind of
What are we
throwing a
gonna
little
do about
temper
payment?
tantrum.
Time he was
He's a
heartbroken.
softie.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
I have to work it out with him myself.
Beautiful shot.
Hmm?
A beautiful shot.
It was a nice shot, yeah. That's why I say, like, there's some that you're like, what is this? And then there's some that are really nice in this movie.
I got a friend. He's got a friend in the Bureau of Mines. You know what he says? They ain't never gonna open that mine up again.
How come?
He says the ore run out.
So help. Bull. Lot of bull. That's a rich man. I know. What's the difference? They'll never settle with us. Never.
Hey, what you know? It's him. It's him, el presidente. The president of the company.
Let me see this. Listen to this. Man of distinction, J. Hamilton Miller, financier, business executive, board chairman of Continental Tractors, and president of Delaware Zinc Incorporated. Wait a minute now, some more. An enthusiastic sportsman and expert marksman, Mr. Miller manages to find time every year for an African safari. He leaves this month for Kenya, where he hopes to bag his 13th lion.
It's the same old things. We talk about what the execs do today when workers are striking for better conditions or pay.
Put on the nose. Put on the nose. It's crazy.
What you expecting to hunt? Rabbit?
It's still happening, yeah.
We're still having those same conversations.
How about it, Ramon? Let's take off for a couple of days, huh?
Why ask me? Am I running this strike? If you want permission to go over the hill, go ask the ladies auxiliary.
I waited up till midnight.
You weren't waiting for me.
That meeting only lasted 10 minutes. The first night I am home, you rode to the beer parlor. What is it? Can't you bear the sight of me?
Be still.
But you wanted to talk. Tell me.
Stood back on the chair.
Yep, he likes that position.
We can't go on this way. I just can't go on living with you. Not this way.
No, we can't go on this way. We can't go back to the old way either.
The old way? What's your new way? What's it mean? You're right to neglect your kids?
Where are you going?
Hunting.
When?
Sun up.
Alone?
No.
Ramon, you can't.
Why not? I'm not needed here.
But you are needed. Especially now with most of the other men away. You are the captain of the standby squad.
Sure, the standby squad. Standby for the funeral.
Whose funeral? We are doing all right. There hasn't been a scrap near the picket line for 3 days.
And you know why? Because the company knows they can starve us out. Even if it takes them another 2 or 3 months. What's it to them if the mine shut down a little longer?
It's a lot to them. They do anything to open that mine.
They've got other minds. You don't see the larger picture. They've got millions. Millions. They can outlast us, and they know it.
You mean you are ready to give up?
Who said anything about giving up? I'll never go back to that company on my knees. Never.
You want to go down fighting, is that it? I don't want to go down fighting. I want to win. Ramon, we are not getting weaker.
I don't like that angle.
They are getting weaker.
Hmm?
They thought they could break
A little
out of
disorienting.
this line, and they failed. And now they can't win unless they pull out something big and pull it up fast.
Like what?
I don't know. But I can feel it coming. It's like a long
Obviously, gun safety wasn't a thing because he pointed right at her.
Charlie Vidal.
They weren't super concerned.
Don't throw Charlie Vidal up to me.
Charlie's my friend. I need friends. Why are you so afraid to have me as your friend?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't. Have you learned nothing from this strike? Why Why are you afraid to have me at your side? Do you still think you can have dignity only if I have none?
Talk of dignity. After what you've been doing.
Yes, I took up dignity. The Anglo-buses look down on you, and you hate them for it. Stay in your place, you dirty Mexican. That's what they tell you. But why must you say to me, stay in your place? Do you feel better having someone lower than you?
Shut up. You're talking crazy.
Whose neck shall I stand on to make me feel superior? And what will I have out of it? I don't want anything lower than I am. I am low enough already. I want to rise and to push everything up with me as I go.
Will you be still?
And if you can't understand this, you are a fool. Because you can't win this fight without me. You can't win anything without me. That would be the old way. Never try it on me again. Never. I'm going to bed now. Sleep where you please, but not with me.
Boom. Doghoused.
Yeah, he's about to slap her. Like,
Yeah.
"Man, you out your mind." She made a good point too.
Mm-hmm. She hit the nail on the head. You think you can only have dignity if I have none. And so many people seem to think it's we can't. Everyone can't have the same rights because somehow you would lose some if somebody else had the same right as you. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a.
But it seems to be what a lot of people think.
And he was
It's
hurt.
an evergreen thought
Anything
process.
worth learning is hurt. These changes come with pain. For other husbands too. Not just Ramon.
The Hollywood 10 are the ones that got blacklisted.
Mm-hmm. The first 10, they were all taken to court over it. And I think all of them did, except maybe one of them did a 3 to 6 month stint in prison for it.
Have you learned nothing from this strike? Ramon, we are not getting weaker. We are stronger than ever before. They are getting weaker. I can feel it coming. It's like a log before a storm. And now they can't win unless they pull out something big and put it up fast.
Brothers, we gotta go back.
And I've always thought some of this film, like some of those shots we just saw, really remind me of low-budget independent film in like the 70s. And they were doing this in the 50s.
Did you go hunting?
And it's kind of just crazy that they were kind of, again, ahead of their times even in that.
Deer hunters. Deserters, that's what they are.
Something's wrong. Charlie, tell us.
The company has an eviction order.
Eviction! Eviction! En la casa de Quintero! Eviction! ¿Dónde? En la casa de Quintero!
That's the hard thing of it being a company town. They own not only the mine, but they own your house, they own your grocery store. All the resources you would need.
Don't worry. Quintero's gone hunting with the others. Evict him first, the rest will be easy. Let the neighbors watch. It'll scare some sense into them.
If we do something?
All right, girls, get back, get back.
Bruh. Yeah, you want one,
All
Cheryl?
right.
What's wrong with you?
All this. Other guys from other mines come in.
It was pulling up. Okay. I love to see it.
Guys getting nervous.
attention to him. Go back and get the rest of the stuff.
What are you saying?
This means they have given up trying to break our picket line. Now we can all fight together. All of us. Go get the pick up the stuff.
How they showed them all picking up one tiny thing, and then all of a sudden they're all running with their arms full.
Oh my God. The build-up is crazy.
Yeah. They do a good build-up with this. I really like it. I think it pays off.
Soundtrack, great.
Now see here, Quintero. These women are obstructing justice. You make them behave, savvy?
I can't do nothing, Tara. You know how it is. They won't listen to a man anymore.
You want me to lock them up again?
You want them in your lockup again?
Gonna lock them up again. Just when you think they're all there, more people show up.
Keep them out of the yard.
Hey, the guys from the open pit.
Yeah, and the guys from the mill.
Hey.
I love that shot for some reason.
Yeah, that was a great one. They would dress that the fact down.
Yep, we're done. He's a great actor. It's super cool that he used to tour with Woody Guthrie.
With who?
Woody Guthrie.
Oh, okay.
Like, oh yeah.
I thought you had said something else. I was like,
what are you talking about over there? And you don't even really notice that, like, the lead actress wasn't there for the whole filming, that she got.
they did a really good job.
Yeah, they did a good job of covering it. He's tired of this.
Got any more ideas?
I don't make policy. I'll talk to New York. I think maybe we'd better settle this thing for the present.
Seems like it.
We did not know then we had won the strike. And yet, our hearts were full. And when Ramon said,
Thanks, sisters and brothers. Esperanza, thank you.
The vignette.
You were right.
It's insane.
Together, we can push everything up with us as we go.
then I knew we had won something they could never take away. Something I could leave my children. And they, the salt of the earth, would inherit it.
So for those who don't know, what can you talk about? What's the vignette?
Oh, people who don't know?
Yeah, for those who don't
Vignette
know.
is like that black part around her face that was making that shadow around the background. That's the vignette.
There's got a lot of people involved in this film. for being people who were blacklisted and everyone didn't want to help them and want to push them out, they were able to get a lot of support.
Which is definitely cool. Will Greer. David Wolf.
He actually changed his name later, just so he would try and avoid the blacklist, I think.
Oh, they're pretty dope.
Yeah, and Rosario Revueltas actually got back to Mexico, and initially they were going to let her work, but they ended up coming into conflict between the Mexican Actors Union and the U.S. Actors Union, where they wanted to respect each other, and so they ended up blacklisting her there as well, just to try and keep that relationship. And so I think this was the last film she did. Her first in the U.S. and her last. Before this, in Mexico, she was actually had a reputation for playing old ladies. They would dress her up, and she was like 20s, 30s, but they always put her into like playing an old lady in the movies for some reason.
That's wild.
Very talented, though. It's sad that her career got cut off. She ended up, I think, spending some time in Europe after this, because this kind of ended her career.
But she's probably, how old is she now?
I believe she passed away. I don't remember when. But she ended up doing, I think, some time in Europe and then coming back to Mexico and did a lot of, like, I think she did a dance school and a yoga school.
That's cool.
Just kind of just found something else to do.
Off Mine Mill, local 890. Brothers and sisters.
Yeah. So that's Salt of the Earth.
That was cool. And I see where the salt of the earth comes from. She was talking about the children.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I love it. They just bring it in right at the end, kind of like, oh, what are we talking about? But yeah, I think, to me, it's one of the great films, and certainly not well enough known and underappreciated. Howard Hughes worked very, very hard to suppress this film and succeeded. He pushed to say, if he gives speeches talking about if everyone doesn't help them, we can stop this film from being made. So he convinced a lot of the major film labs, editing houses to not touch it. So they had to actually find a secretive way to go in and find someone who would develop their film and do it under the cover of night. And then the editors had to just lock themselves away and just stay there almost the whole time that they were editing, just so nobody could get in the way, because so many people wanted to shut this down. So it was not an easy task. I mean, you consider all that, you consider the whole establishment out to get you, you have local citizens out to get you, you have people coming and arresting your lead actress because their passport wasn't stamped. Like, just crazy. Like, anything they could think of to try and stop this outside of just murdering them. They did, and they tried it, and they still got this film through. It did premiere in the U.S. at, I think, one theater, and then got shut down. It actually had a pretty successful run in Europe, though, where it won some awards at some major festivals, and
it's crazy how
it did okay. And they re-released it about 10 years later in the U.S. So
see, it's crazy, and that's public domain. That's crazy. You usually don't think something that's free is like that valuable, and that has a lot of history behind it.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how big corporations will gang up on people, but people don't come together to kind of see, like, hey, they're just ganging up on us. We can do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy to take advantage of people, unfortunately, and we have to come together to cut that off. But
it goes to show, like, man, it can be done, and I'm glad that this got done, because it's definitely had its effect on the film world, the world in general.
Definitely.
So
it's
Salt
really
of the earth.
Touching film. Well, and you said you looked up, to answer our questions earlier, the difference between communism and socialism.
Yeah. Okay. So to give an actual definition, because I have no clue what neither of them are. Communism, and this is per ChatGPT.
Okay. They know. ChatGPT knows. I don't know it.
They know. They can explain it in layman's terms, but per ChatGPT, this isn't me saying this, but Communism is a political and economic ideology that advocates for the collective ownership of resources and the means of production, aiming to create a classless society where wealth and power are distributed equally among all members. It often involves the abolition of private property and establishment of a centralized government to oversee the distribution of goods and services. Different variations of communism have been proposed and practiced, with notable examples including Marxist, Leninist, I don't know how to say that word,
Yeah.
and Maoist interpretations. Okay, so that's communism. So it's basically like the shared resources under
everything's
under
fully
a,
shared
under a central government. And then socialism is a political and economic ideology that emphasizes collective ownership or control of the means of production, distribution, and exchange. It aims to reduce inequality and promote greater economic and social equity by ensuring that resources and wealth are distributed more equitably among members of society. Unlike communism, socialism does not necessarily require the complete abolition of private property and can manifest in various forms, ranging from democratic to more centralized models. It's important to note that there are different interpretations of implementations of socialism, leading to a wide range of political and economic systems. So they're similar, but basically communism is saying like there's nothing excluded, and then socialism is saying like if you want to own your own stuff, you can too.
Yeah, it's not as heavy-handed.
Yeah, so it's like they're both really similar, but one just sounds a little more lenient than the other.
Yeah.
But I mean,
therefore probably a little bit more doable.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, and so that's, like the producer Paul Jericho was raised a socialist, but he decided that they weren't basically being violent enough and pushing hard enough, and so he switched to the Communist Party. It wasn't until later in his life that he did say, you know what, I don't like the way the turn the Communist Party has made. And many people in Hollywood were part of the Communist Party or interested in it, and as they saw it develop, especially through Russia, they kind of said, no, that this isn't for me. I'm going to, jump on something else. But there were the few, like Paul Jericho, who didn't do that immediately and did stick around and obviously paid for it, unfortunately.
So that's how communism and socialism are like tied to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so almost everyone involved was blacklisted for being a suspected communist.
And this is during the Cold War time?
Yes, it would have been like, right at the beginning, during Korea. Okay. That was one of the weapons they used against the film was like, you can say, communism's just a political ideology, but we're not fighting Democrats and Republicans in Korea, we're fighting communists. And that was one of the political statements that was made, against Hollywood having communist ties. And a lot of it very much became, turn on your friend or don't turn on your friend. If you don't turn on your friend, you're going to get in trouble because you must be hiding something. If you do turn on your friend, you're going to get in trouble because you just turn on your friend. One director who really suffered for that was Elia Kazan. Very successful, lots of Oscar nominations, Oscar wins, but he turned and ratted out a lot of his friends to the point that when he was given, I believe it was an honorary lifetime Oscar, a lot of people booed and wouldn't applause because they just couldn't support how much he turned on people. And basically it was save my own skin, because he at one point was part of the Communist Party, or at least attended their meetings, and so to save himself he just ratted on everyone he could think of. Got a lot of people blacklisted. So he lost a lot of respect. So there is that backfire too. There was a lot of people got blacklisted, and then there were the people who got other people blacklisted who later on, when we realized, whoa, this is out of control, lost their own kind of came back on them, came back to haunt them.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Right. But it's I think it's a great film. It's got a lot of meaning then. It's got a lot of meaning today still. a lot of good messages, and just well done for the circumstances.
Oh yeah, very well done for limited budget. It's definitely something that I cannot believe actually was made. Like
yeah, when you hear everything that was going against it, that it got made is pretty amazing. And I think it just goes to show that, I talk about this in all the Public Domain Movie Club, like this may be a, not this one, but other ones are usually cheesy. They are not so great. But
this
they
one
made
had a
it.
really powerful message the whole time.
Exactly. This one was great. And so I go back to that same thing, like they made it. They got out and did it. And
So what would you
odds.
would you rate this on a scale of 1 to 10?
Probably an 8 or a 9.
I was thinking 8.
It's a great film. It's obviously not Citizen Kane. It's not, one of the best films of all time. But knowing the circumstances behind it, knowing the story behind it, I think that elevates it on its own.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, it is a well-written film, decently well-directed. The acting is what you'd expect for not only having only 5 professional actors, but having all but one of them in side roles.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it was very, like I said before, it's very well written. The story, it's kind of hard to follow the story, but it's easy to, like, have you ever seen a story circle before?
Yeah.
So it's like it kind of
fill it
works.
in.
You could fill it in the same way walking through it.
Well, and I wonder how much, like some of that hard to follow the story comes down to their audio issues, because that was certainly seemed to be their biggest struggle, was getting good, clean audio.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if it would be more clear.
But yeah, it is also, what is this, 1949?
54.
54.
Yep.
Yeah. It's the 50s.
It wasn't going to be perfect to begin with.
It wasn't. It's 50s. But okay.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining, Jovan, and watching this movie. Do you have any last thoughts?
Last thought is I have a word of the day.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Pops up on my phone, and it says inhibit. So it's to prevent, restrain, or stop.
Okay.
And it's funny, the sentence they use is in a car. It's, when I told you I needed the car last night, I certainly never meant to inhibit you from going out. But I kind of think it's a great word of the day
for
watching this, because they did a lot to inhibit people from.
It does, yeah. And they did it despite
making this
that.
movie and getting their rights in this movie. So
yep,
a lot of things were done to inhibit a lot of people,
and yet they prevailed.
And it was still possible.
A good message for everyone today, I think. It's got some hope to it.
Yep. Don't let things inhibit you. You can do it.
Yep. Sometimes you got to come together with a very large group of people, but you can do it.
It starts with 1. You can multiply 1. You can't multiply 0. But you can multiply 1.
Yep. So as Nike likes to say, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this episode of Public Domain Movie Club. Join us next month for probably something scary.
Ooh,
or
scary
not
movies.
so much, because it is public domain.
Oh yeah,
something that thinks it's scary.
Movies on public domain, huh?
Oh, there are a ton of horror movies on public domain. They're just not actually scary.
Oh, we're watching a horror movie.
Yep.
All right, players.
All right, later, everyone.
You guys suck at your job.
Whew, sorry, guys. That went long. Sorry. You guys should have just left.
Yeah, we were thinking about it.
I would have.
We're like, guys, wrap it up.
Should have told us. Tell us. Get on that studio announcer and be like,